Sure. So in 2013, I tried to start an Indiegogo to build airships. Airships have been something that I've been passionate about for a long time. I used to tour in a rock band, and living in a confined space with 4 other large adult male animals is not that fun. So I often fantasized about having a larger tour vehicle than a bus, but obviously with the limitations of roads, you can't. So that's kind of what set me on my path to really start looking into airships and researching airships and studying airships. And I went all the way. I really kind of studied Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin, all the airships he built, the German airships, both during World War I and right before World War II, and then the American airships, very interesting. The Americans actually built a flying airship aircraft carrier. Kind of good designs actually for the time, but they were minor issues that caused them to be catastrophic failures. Again, minor issues that were solvable even at the time, and now with the technology we have now, to me it's absurd that we aren't flying around everywhere. It's absurd that we're still using cars and trucks and vehicles that go on the ground. It's 2020. It's been over 100 years since we first flew. I really went down the rabbit hole with Alberto Santos Dumont. I'd love to hear any more information, any more documentaries, anything you've got on Alberto Santos Dumont, the father, the inventor of flight. You always hear about the Wright brothers, you always hear about these other people. You don't hear about Alberto Santos Dumont, and I think the reason why is because he was strongly anti-war. That's why he was trying to promote flight. He wanted people to be able to travel the world and meet people from other countries, and he thought that that would lead to less war. Having traveled the world and being very anti-war myself, I kind of agree with him on that specifically. But more or less just from a technological standpoint, I think it's absurd that we're not flying more. Absolutely absurd. I believe I've addressed most of the issues that we have with flight, with the open airships design. I could probably go into more detail on some of that. I really kind of need a little bit more feedback from the potential audience at this point to put together a more accurate conveyance of what our design goals are. The Indiegogo I did in 2013, frankly, I did a piss poor job at it. Most of the things that I've gotten good at in life, though, were things that I wasn't good at initially. So I'm hoping this crowdfunding campaign will go much better than the last one. I'm in downtown Honolulu right now, so sorry about the air raid siren. They do these several times a day for testing, and the app I'm using doesn't have a pause button, so there it is. WeFunder said to use just a regular cell phone and do a very informal video. I actually have a green screen and a high definition thing and this giant condenser microphone. I've posted a lot of videos online on my YouTube. I've posted a lot of videos about airships specifically and about open airships more specifically. I built a website last year. I hired a 3D modeler to turn some of my sketches into 3D models for computer animation, stuff like that. And recently we've been working on a modular structural design where we could actually start 3D printing components for building airships. There's so many reasons that airships are a better design than anything else that we've been doing. So many reasons. And I really think the main component and thrust of why we should be doing airships is freedom. Freedom for individuals, families, and freedom for all of humanity away from giant corporations and the corrupt governments that these giant corporations happen to run. There's the old libertarian argument about, okay, well, if we stop paying taxes and nobody pays taxes, who will build the roads? This is a very typical kind of anti-libertarian thought experiment that a lot of people get into. I don't think we need roads at all, because if we had airships, we wouldn't need roads. And if we had airships, we would be free from any kind of country or city or state subjugation or citizenship. You could choose to remain an American citizen or a Russian citizen or a Chinese citizen and fly all over the world in your airship. Or you could choose to be a citizen of the globe and let different governments compete for your dollars by selling the resources that you're most interested in, whether that's organic fruit, fresh water, whatever that is. Although part of the design goal of the airship is to provide fresh water for the occupant through desalinization and reverse osmosis, and to be able to pull any water anywhere from any body of water, ocean, lake, whatever, and provide ample clean water for the occupant of the airship. That's one of our design goals. The main design of the airship is to provide free transportation, almost free transportation, almost free housing, almost free electricity, and almost free clean water to anybody who owns the final kind of design of the airship. Obviously, before we get to that later design, we're going to be building smaller ones for testing and for flight dynamics and to work on the aerodynamics and structural integrity and software. All that is the software is going to be the thing that's probably the thing that's going to be most difficult, because we're going to have to make a really, really robust blockchain that's inalterable and yet constantly being updated by all of the airships. I talk about this concept a lot in the white paper. I really welcome all comers to criticize the white paper, criticize aspects of the white paper, criticize the design goal. But it's 2020. We've been flying for over 100 years, and yet everybody's still riding around in like mopeds and trucks and cars and trains, and I think it's absurd that technology hasn't progressed. And I think it's on purpose. I think the governments and corporations want to maintain control of their market. And the way to do that is to confine them to a geographical area where they can drive scarcity of certain resources, forcing you to labor for them in order to survive. And I think by completely blowing that away with giving everybody free infinite housing, transportation, and electricity and water, I think that this would lead to a society where different governments would have to compete for your business. And that's the real design goal of open airships. It's not just to free people from housing the cost and electricity cost, water cost, and transportation cost. It's to eliminate your reliance on government and to make you truly a citizen of the world who can go anywhere in the world and force the governments to compete by being more friendly to your business, whether your business is to land and buy fresh fruit or to land and drop off cars that you've built somewhere else. Whatever your business is, this design goal is to force governments to compete for your business and not control your life, certainly not institute a draft, certainly not engage in taxation of almost any kind. Maybe sales tax will stick around for a little while for certain things. And hey, if the sales tax pays for something that makes that country nice and makes it nicer to visit, then that's something you can vote with your dollars for as well. So anyway, that's kind of the idea behind open airships. I've done a lot of videos about it. I've got the website. I've got the white paper. This is not the baby idea that I had in 2013 when I tried to do the Indiegogo. I'm a serious person. I've run my own IT business for more than a decade. I've had many successful musical projects that, we did the whole thing, touring and releasing albums, all that. I'm a serial entrepreneur who's got a track record of success in very tough industries. Doing anything in the music industry is very tough. And the fact that I had success in the music industry with more than one band, I think shows that I have a strong work ethic and a strong design and implementation goal. I can run a spreadsheet. I can really run a spreadsheet. So my current role is I am the COVID-19 surge response logistics coordinator for the Department of Health for the entire state of Hawaii. This is also a very serious role that I take seriously, and I do a good job at it. But it's obviously a temporary role. The COVID-19 thing at some point will come to an end. And at that point, I really would like to be building airships and liberating all of humanity from all of government and corporations. And I think I've got an end run around our current system that actually makes that completely possible, completely decentralizes human infrastructure completely. So we don't need a lot of technological advances. Obviously, whatever technological advances Tesla is making, and I've really been following the battery technology for Tesla and all that, those are all going to help us with our project. We're going to need battery and capacitors and electrical storage systems. These are all things that are going to help open airships, but we don't need more than we have now. We don't need new technologies to be developed. We just need engineers. We're going to need some engineers. We're going to need electrical engineers, aviation engineers, software engineers. I think that's going to be the trickiest thing, is the software engineering. Structural engineers, material scientists. I mean, we're going to need a team to build these and to make them 100% safe. The goal is 100% safety. Make it much, much safer than vehicle travel, much, much safer than walking down the street. There's a statistical chance when you're walking down the street you can get hit by a bus or a car that swerved off the road, all kinds of stuff. We want to be safer statistically than any other mode of travel. That is the number one goal, design goal. Number two is lowering the cost. And I think with 3D printing and DIY, open source, all those kind of we've kind of got this Venn diagram of technologies that have gotten to a certain point that I think would make something like this not just very probable and profitable and useful and practical, but almost inevitable. So it's time. Let's build these. When I get paid to do this, it's going to help me free up my time to focus on it 100%. So yes, I'm going to be taking probably taking a pay cut, but I mean I will be paying myself to build these. So that's part of the investment fund. I can live very, very cheaply, so don't expect me to start living lavishly because I got money from this. The main thing I'm going to be using money for is to hire engineers, top-level engineers. I mean, these are people that we're going to have to steal away from SpaceX and Tesla and other companies like that. And that's not something you can do without some kind of war chest. So put $1 in the WeFunder, put $1 in just to follow it. And if 1 million people think it's a good enough idea to eliminate government, to eliminate roads, to eliminate the fossil fuel industry, to eliminate the control grid that governments and corporations have put around us and trapped us in, if you think any of that's a good idea, put $1 in. I mean, what's $1? $1 is almost nothing. But if 1 million people think that's a good enough idea to put $1 in, we could build these. I think I could build the first prototype for under $1 million, probably. Realistically, probably around $2 million is gonna. I've been looking at getting some kind of commercial real estate and structural components. I mean, these materials are going to have cost, and we're going to have to hire engineers. So if I can get somewhere around the $2 million mark, there's no question that we're going to be able to build at least one of the early prototypes, a very practical, very replicatable design. So anyway, I hope this is a good WeFunder video. I've got blueprints. I've got a lot of things already built for this project. Please read the white papers. Please join us if you want to help. You don't have to be a software engineer to help, although if you are a software engineer and you want to help, please get a hold of me on the Discord. There's a link to the Discord on the website. This is all going to be open source. We're not going to keep any intellectual property. The point is to eliminate the ability for intellectual property to even be a thing. If you're floating in your airship over the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it's not like ICANN is going to come and be like, were you playing the Rolling Stones on your airship? I mean, this is not. We've got to eliminate intellectual property laws altogether. That's one of the goals here. So if you're an open source proponent, if you're a libertarian, any of anarchist, anything that kind of fits in that mold of like, hey, you've got to put $1 in. You've got an ethical and moral responsibility to put $1 in. So love your feedback, love your criticism. Hit me up, WeFunder. I'm here, and hope you have a great day.